this is an absolutely fascinating aircraft. Just like the RAF's expansion scheme in the mid-1930s, the Swedish Air Force was being built up at that time, but Sweden lacked its own aircraft manufacturing capabilities. One of the then Swedish companies, called AFF, put forward a design for a reconnaissance aircraft that was never built. Another company, Asia, developed its own, which became a Saab product when it merged with Saab. And there's quite a lot of American influence in this design as well. It's fully aerobatic. That American influence was because American engineers were working for Asia to support licensed production of the Northrop 8A1 attack bomber and the North American NA-16 trainer, though most of them left Sweden when war broke out. This design for a reconnaissance aircraft was given the test designation P7. It's intended to be able to fly with wheel ski undercarriages or on floats. And the P7B had a very eventful maiden flight in May 1940 when the canopy flew off and hit the test pilot Clay Smith on his head. He made a safe landing at Linköping, the Saab factory airfield, even though he had blood streaming down his face. This was conceived as a reconnaissance and army cooperation aircraft. It was also developed as a dive bomber. And when you saw it take off, you'll have seen it's got huge fairings on the front of the undercarriage legs. They look rather like cricketers' pads. They were intended to be dive brakes, but they were rarely used in practice. Saab themselves developed a bomb-tossing device which made it unnecessary to put the aeroplane into a vertical dive. Pilots found that the B17, the bomber version, rarely reached the speed at which the dive brakes were needed. Production run came to 325, and they equipped 6 wings of the Swedish Air Force. They had quite a lot of different engines. This one here has a Pratt & Whitney STWC3 of 1,065 horsepower. And when they came into service, the Saab 17s were a very big advance on the aircraft they replaced. Perhaps not surprisingly, because they were things such as the Hawker Hart biplane. The first of them, F-17BLs for the reconnaissance role, were delivered to F-3 wing of the Swedish Air Force at Malmslätt in February 1942, and then F-2 wing at Haganes received them, flying maritime reconnaissance and naval cooperation missions. They flew long-range patrols of the Baltic, as well as convoy escorts and anti-submarine patrols. The B-17A bomber model, like this, came into service with F-4 wing at Ostersund in 1944. And in spite of Sweden's neutrality, Saab 17s had a certain number of encounters with Axis aeroplanes. The aircraft of F-3 wing were fired at by German flak. One of them was attacked by a Messerschmitt Bf-109, which caused a bit of a diplomatic incident. German vessels in the Skagerrak, the strait between the Jutland Peninsula of Denmark, the east coast of Norway and the west coast of Sweden. Final pass. There were also occasions when Saab 17s encountered Allied aeroplanes flying from their base at Kalmar in southern Sweden. B-17s were F-12 wing, escorted various Allied fighters either to turn them away from Swedish airspace or escort them to land. And the aircraft's achievements carried on. One Saab 17 was used as Saab's first test bed for the then nascent ejection seat technology. Last December, it's been in the hands of the Swedish Air Force Historic Flight, which has a tremendous collection of historic Saab aeroplanes, mostly jets, as far as the Saab machines are concerned, to its name, and it's thanks to that organisation that we see it here this weekend. And there you can get a great look at those enormous undercarriage fairings cum dive brakes. The Saab B17A of the Swedish Air Force Historic Flight